Today I'm going to show you how to make this boutique style hair bow that I call the Stacked Boutique Hairbow. To get started, you're going to need a 17 inches in length of a 1-inch ribbon. The second ribbon you're going to need is, you want it to be no larger than 5/8, but today I chose a 3/8 ribbon, and that's going to also be in 17 inches. Then you're going to need, this third ribbon needs to be no longer than 7/8, but today I chose 5/8, and that's going to be 22 inches in length, and then I cut it in half for two 11-inch pieces. And then the back of the hair bow will be made up of 5 to 6 different ribbons at 5 inches each, and 2 of each of them, if that makes sense. So I cut 10 inches, 10 inches, 10 inches, 10 inches, and 10 inches, and then cut them in half. And I use the same ribbons that I used throughout the other part of the hair bow, and then add additional ones that kind of coordinate. Then you'll also need your center, and today I'm using a felty. And you'll need a needle, a sewing needle with ribbon, with a piece of string right here. And you're also going to need a hot glue gun and a alligator clip. I use the ones that have the teeth on them. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so your first step is, I've kind of did this setup before I started videotaping. I went ahead and I heat sealed all the edges of my ribbon with a lighter so that they do not fray. The only ones that you do not need to heat seal are these two ones in the middle that you see will go right here around your big bow, and then right here around that outer part. Those don't have to be heat sealed because they are going to be hot glued, so that will keep them from fraying. Like I said, I take these, in order to make this nice V pattern, I just fold the ribbon in half and cut it right there, and then I heat seal that V. Okay, so it's easier to do that before you get started so that everything is ready to go once you get ready to make your hair bow. Okay, so we're going to start by making this black part of the ribbon. I'm going to use different colors, of course, but this main bow, you're going to use your 1-inch ribbon at 17 inches. And you're going to start out, you just kind of have to play with this and see what works best for you, but this is how you start making your bow. You're going to fold it over probably about 1.5 inches, and you're going to kind of angle it a little bit. Then you're going to take your bottom piece and you're going to fold it up and make sure those two pieces meet. You can see that they meet right there. That kind of gives you a half of your bow. Then you're going to take that piece and loop it back around and tuck it underneath your first loop. Can you see that? You're going to tuck it there and hold it with your finger, your forefinger and your thumb. And then you have this little tail that you're going to fold up inside and tuck, and you want to make sure your ends meet on the inside. Okay, and so it's all together right there. You're holding it together. Can you see that, Holly? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then you're going to take your needle and thread. This is the only part of the bow that you actually sew. You're going to put it just one hole right through the center, so you're making sure you're getting both ends where they meet in the middle and the center of that bow. And you're going to pull it tight. Okay. I hold the needle in my teeth to make it taut, and then I'm going to fold my bow upwards in half. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it back down like an accordion. Okay, I'll show you that again. It's okay. I'm going to fold it up, and I'm pinching it on the back side. Okay, so I'm folding it upwards, and then I'm going to fold it back down. So I have a nice bow. If you can tell, my string is right there in the center. So then I'm just going to take my thread, I should say, and I'm going to wrap it around my bow 5 or 6 times. Doesn't really matter, just how long you feel it's tight, okay? So it's wrapped around my bow. And this is the back of the bow now, okay? And then I'm going to knot it on itself. So I'm going to feed the end of my thread underneath the ribbon, underneath that other thread. And I have a loop here. I'm just going to run it through that loop and knot it in on itself. And if you feel like it's not tight enough, you can do that twice. But once is always good enough, especially because you're going to be gluing this down with hot glue to the other parts of the bow, so you don't have to worry about it coming undone. So there you have your main bow. And this will take some practice to get it even like you want it, but you can always just cut your thread and keep trying. So now I'm going to cut the end of this thread off. You know what I forgot? Is I forgot a centerpiece. But, okay, what you would do normally, I'm not going to do it on this bow because I don't have it here with me, but I would take this size ribbon and I would just cut like an inch, and I would hot glue that around the center. And if you're not going to put a center on your actual hair bow, then make sure that this is like a decorative piece that you want everyone to see. It doesn't matter what this one's going to be because this owl is going to be right on top of it. Okay? So, that is the main part of the bow. That is the most work that you have to do. It's the most tedious part of it. Now we're going to take the 17 inches of the 3/8 but no larger than 5/8 ribbon. Okay? And you're going to fold this ribbon in half. And what we are making now is we are making this orange part that goes around the primary bow. Okay? So you're going to fold it in half and crease it really good so that you make sure that you can see your line. Okay? You're going to lay it on a flat surface, and you can see right here that you can see the half mark. So I'm going to take one end and I'm going to fold it up to that half mark, and I'm going to crease it again. So I'm going to make it into fourths. Can you see that, Holly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then I'm going to take it, I'm going to flip it over like this. And I'm going to make sure that one end is meeting up with the half mark. And I'm going to make them flush together. This is where my hot glue comes in. I'm going to take my hot glue and I'm going to dab one dot there. And you don't need much. One dot there. And I'm going to take this middle part where I've creased my center point, and I'm going to fold it in and make sure it meets right in the middle of those two ribbons. Do you need to zoom in to make sure you get that? So it looks like this. You can see that's where I had folded the center. I had made my mark, and then it kind of made my mark here, and then I just folded it on itself and glue it down. And I'll show you on the second side too. You do the same thing on the other side.
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
Make a crease. Then you're just going to lay it flat side by side. Add some glue. Fold it over so that your center point is in between your two pieces of ribbon. And now you have what we call like the clover part of the hair bow. Let me get glue on that. Okay. I like to go ahead and add my pieces together as I'm doing it. It just makes me feel like it's more complete. So you take a dot of glue, put that right in the center, and then you're going to take your center of your hair bow and press it right down. Okay? Then I just work my things around my bows, my bow loops. And that's the middle part of your hair bow. And you can kind of wiggle it around, make sure it's all centered and perfect. Okay? So there's that. Now we're going to make the outer clover part and the last part of this little stack before we get to these back frilly things. So you're going to take this one. These are your this is your 22 inches that you cut of your 5/8 but no larger than 7/8. So it can be either size. You cut 22 inches and then you're going to cut that in half. So you have two 11-inch pieces. Fold this in half. Make sure you crease really well so you can see your crease mark. I hold it between my thumb and my forefinger. The center mark is right here. And I just do a couple lines of glue. Okay? Then I'm going to take my end and I'm going to loop it around and make kind of like that breast cancer ribbon that you see. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. And I'm going to make them meet in the middle. And you have a piece that looks like this. Okay? So basically it makes like a figure 8. Do the same thing with the other one. And you don't need to make sure that these are heat sealed again, like I said, because they're going to have glue on them and they're not going to fray. Okay, now that those two pieces are made, we're going to glue these together. So you just put a dot in the center and you want to kind of spread them out so that they kind of fan out like that. Okay, then you're going to take the piece that we've already made, place a dot in the center, and put this right in the middle. Okay, now you have your main part of your bow. Now we're going to take the back. I like to make sure that the colors that are going to be on the top of the spritz in the back are not the same colors that are on the back part of this figure 8. So, and I also like to play with the colors. So I want to make sure that we don't have too much pinksing and not enough black. So first I'm going to just take each one of these, put a dot in the center, and I'm going to make crosses with each set. Okay. And like I said, these are heat sealed so they don't fray. And I've cut all these prior to starting the video to try to speed up some time. And then after you get these glued, it's a matter of just kind of playing with them and seeing which way you want. And I've already made this hairbow before, so I know exactly what I'm going to do. But if you hadn't, you can just kind of put them in whichever way you want and kind of see the order in which you want these to be glued down before you actually glue them. So I'm going to put pink on the bottom because we have this giant amount of pink right here. And we're going to have gray in the middle. So I'm going to make sure I divvy up my sizes right. I'm going to put this one here. And then since I'm going to have 5, I want to make sure that I get them kind of lined up right. And this just takes practice. I just place them on top of each other, but kind of fanned out a little bit so you can see each one. You can see I'm alternating colors so the same colors are not side by side. And having different size ribbon and different styles of ribbon is what makes it look super cute. Okay, now that's done. We're going to take our last dot of glue. We're going to place our hair bow. I like to make it exactly mirror the last one that I put on, so we're just going to make it perfect like that, right on top of that X. Okay, that part of your hair bow is done. Normally I would have a nice wrapped part here, and I would glue this right down, but I'm going to wait because I haven't done that yet. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that since I already glued it all down. That's that. Once this is all dried, I like to wait till it's good and dry so that I don't mess it up by flipping it over. I flip it over, and then I just run a strip of glue right across the back here. See, it's wet and it still moved a little.